A question from anyone else?
That burned, tortured, killed their babies and children and still have them hostage. Why don't you want the Israelis to go after the terrorists that did that?
How many more killings is enough for you? Is it 1,000 more? 2,000 more? 3,000 more? How many more Palestinians would make you happy if they died? Will you be fine? If all
Why do you
of the people of
apologize
Gaza
for
were gone,
terrorists?
would that make you happy?
Ilhan
Would
Omar
that
acts
be
like
the
a
thing that
terrorist.
makes you proud?
All those broads up there, they act like terrorists. I mean, I would not. This is I mean, what a disgraceful I mean, seriously, how disgraceful are you? Maybe get your affairs in order, like your marriage to your brother, before you sit here and stand for terrorists and baby killing in front of, the Capitol that many of us here respect more apparently than you do, to stand in front of it and do that. That's ridiculous. Shame on her. That's just disgusting. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. You can listen coast to coast, stream the radio program, watch the simulcast, YouTube, Facebook, Channel 347, Direct TV. I'm trying to keep my wits about me, but I'm going to tell you, there is no gray area for me with us. Absolutely none. And to see a garbage meat sack like Ilhan Omar, and that's, you know what? Respect for elected office runs both ways. For the person that occupies it, they have to show more, you got to show more respect for the voters than we got to show for you. Because, see, you work for us. You are at our beck and call. You exist there in that seat by the authority of our consent. And to get up there and apologize for terrorists. I mean, notice she tries to put that on, and that's what terrorists usually do. They try to put it back on the people asking the question, well, how many more deaths are acceptable to you? That's a question you need to ask Hamas, Ilhan. That's a question you need to ask them. How many more deaths are acceptable to Hamas? Because Hamas started this. How many more deaths are acceptable to you? Like, how many more people have to die before you stop defending a terrorist group that burned babies alive? Did you like seeing their burned baby bodies, Ilhan? Did you enjoy that? I feel like it's safe to ask that question because that's absolutely, it's just asinine, her standing up there and saying the words that she did. How many more deaths are acceptable to Hamas? That's a question you have to ask. How many more dead Jews is it worth it? Is worth it for you, Ilhan Omar and Ariana Presley and all of these other terrorist defenders that get up there in front of the Capitol lecturing American citizens on who find it absolutely abhorrent what they're hearing? I mean, I'm trying to watch my words here, but I feel like I shouldn't have to when we sit here and talk about actual terrorists and Nazi apologists. I feel like there aren't any words harsh enough. I feel like if you're not enraged, then what are you saving it for? It's so disgraceful. The question is about, because they were asked, well, doesn't Israel have a right to defend itself? And that made her so angry. How many dead babies is worth it for her? This is a question for Hamas. Hamas started this. I'm getting really tired of seeing photos of Hamas sympathizers walking out with, where are they getting all of these bodies at of children? Like in the parking lot, like we're supposed to believe there were 500 people in that hospital parking lot in the middle of the night when they were trying to see that it wasn't a Hamas rocket. The photos that I see that are shared from Hamas's propaganda channels, I see them out there. You wouldn't have those dead bodies if Hamas, A, let people leave the strip, and B, because we know that there were a significant number that didn't want to because they were out in the street protesting that they didn't want to, they should have left. I mean, Israel was warning everyone. Hamas thinks that war is they get to attack everyone and no one can respond. And then if you respond, then suddenly they're the victim. I do not subscribe to that drunk ass line of thinking because that's what it is. That's what they practice. Audio soundbite 3. Listen to this. This is just asinine. This is AOC.
I mean, I will say that I have long found the ignoring and sidelining of Palestinians in the U.S. House of Representatives, the humanity of Palestinian populations in the 5 years that I've been in Congress quite shocking. This is not something that is.
What do you mean the sidelining when they were given millions and millions and millions of dollars of aid by your party? Is she unaware of this? I mean, I get that up until this point into which she was in her elected office, that the breadth of her knowledge was slinging drinks, which, no offense to bartenders, but I just think if you're going to weigh in as an authority figure on history of this area, then perhaps maybe you should understand a little bit about how many of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars went to go and support Hamas. You know how much money was given to them, not just by the United States? You know how much money was given to Gaza and West Bank, where a pretend ethnicity called Palestinian exists? Do you know how much money was sent? You're talking of hundreds and millions of dollars has been sent in aid, not just cash money. And we've talked about this before for the last 2 weeks on the show, when it was discovered that Hamas was spending all the money on itself and buying weapons of war. Isn't that the phrase they like? They were digging tunnels, all this. When they sent actual physical pipes over for them to replace their sewage, to update their sewage, to improve their water infrastructure, they literally had raw sewage dumping out into the Mediterranean. Amnesty International did a report on it. The beach was considered unsafe going halfway up into Israel. I mean, that's how bad it was. And instead of using all of the money and then later the actual pipes that were sent to them to improve their sewage infrastructure, they used the pipes they were sent and made them into literal bombs. And, the UN, because the left loves lying prostrate in front of the United Nations, actually also confirmed this with a separate report several years ago. And they called them pipes with wings. They were wondering, why in the hell are these pipes where do these pipes come from? Oh, and then after they used all of those for bombs, they started digging up water pipes in everyone's yards. The people that still had like basic 21st century amenities in Gaza Strip, Hamas started then digging up all of their pipes and fashioning those into bombs. So I don't want to hear a single terrorist apologist bitch and moan about, well, why aren't we're sidelining? No one's been sidelined. They've been catered to the point where we've turned them into colonizers. We've allowed them to and encouraged Hamas and have supported Hamas, et cetera, for so long, because the left believes that if you shower someone with money, and this gives you great insight into how the Bidens have been able to operate, and Menendez has been able to operate for as long as they have with zero accountability, the left very virulently believes that if you shower something with money, you'll improve it, right? That you'll make it better. So if you give terrorists a ton of money, they'll stop being terrorists. That's their belief system. So that's been their whole thought process all the way up until now in current time. So for AOC to sit here and complain that people have been sidelined, no. They've been prioritized. They've been prioritized ahead of our own veterans. They've been prioritized ahead of our own elderly. They've been prioritized ahead of our own American citizens. We have given more money to Gazans and people in West Bank than we have done to take care of our own veterans returning from combat. So spare me this lie, you terrorist apologist. This is just asinine. There's no gray area. I want to be very clear on where I stand on that. You either are a terrorist apologist or you are not. That is it. There is no gray area.